I'm wasted thinking about.
Good evening, tankers and gamers and viewers alike. We are back to the Australian Esports University League for World of Tanks. I'm Mendrix, and joining me this evening, as per usual, is Formal. How are you going, my man?
I'm a little pixelated right now. I'm going to blame the storm that's happening here in Brisbane. It's been wet today, and there's been some power surges. There's been some lightning. It's been a little bit spooky, but fortunately, as loud as thunder is, I'm pretty sure a tank blast can be that little bit louder. So I'm hoping we can drown out the spooky sights and sounds surrounding the city at the moment.
You know what, Ditto? It has been wet here in New South Wales as well. So I think everything's happening a little bit at the moment along that east coast of Australia. But that being said, guys, we've got some tank blasts and a light to bring to you. Let's have a quick look at the schedule for today. Of course, it's going to be at 7 p.m. the University of Newcastle versus the University of Queensland. So pretty interested to see what's going to happen with that one there. And at 8 p.m., the University of New South Wales up against the University of Waikato. So expecting some pretty things to happen here. What's interesting about what's happening this week, of course, is University of Queensland still reigning supreme, UNSW nipping at the tail, halfway through the competition though, and if University of Waikato and Newcastle want to flip the results, they need to start showing up.
Yeah, and this could be a big opportunity, I feel like, for UON in particular. I feel as if, again, the UQ side, even though they're undefeated, when they do start to struggle, they have looked a little bit more vulnerable. I think the University of New South Wales and UON still kind of is our dark horse. They just have to find a way to keep every match competitive and every match sort of exciting. If Dark's playing, that could be a problem. Again, though, Dark is the substitute, and I think, UON's probably hoping, hey, you don't need your substitute today. So I think, if we are going to see that upset, if we are going to see one team flip it around, I'm leaning on UON to be that side.
Well, before we can have all of that happening, we do need to shout out sponsors because of course nothing would be possible without them. And it's been a Predator conquering new worlds with Predator Gaming. Put power and precision in your hands with quality and performance thanks to Predator. AOC, the best viewing experience, offering a wide selection of stylish monitors for home, office, or gaming to millions of loyal customers worldwide. Good old Rig, developing headsets delivering superior audio for competitive gamers and streamers at all levels. Join the Rig team and enhance your gaming experience today. Well, also, we've got some pretty interesting maps here today as well, Max. We've got Prokhorovka, Cliff, and Tundra. Now, Tundra are only going to get to see that, of course, if we do get to Game 5, but I'm expecting today probably not going to be the case. I think Tundra is going to be sitting there in the cold, not really worrying about anything too much anytime soon.
I mean, again, if we're going to see it, more likely than not, we are going to see it in our first matchup. I think that's probably where I'll be. But Prokhorovka, oh my gosh.
You can do it.
I practice it. Prokhorovka,
Yep.
Our location for the first map. This one's going to be an interesting one, I feel like, especially for a team like UON in particular, because they want to use that mobility. They want to use that speed. They want to be a little bit brawly. And this UQ team sometimes has been a little bit slower, a little bit more controlled. And I'm not sure this map will necessarily favor that UQ style. So I'm really excited to see how people sort of approach this flat map, especially in a 3v3 environment.
Yeah, we have started to see a bit of a move away from the VKs, right? That typically we said, hey, these are tested and true. They typically go out there, do a bunch of damage, take a lot of damage, everything's good. But now we're starting to see the Cromwells come into the play, the BUGIs, the Scotas get a little bit more airtime, even some light tanks, especially Dark, who was actually piloting quite a few last week. So it'd be really cool if they get to see that again from UQ. Your University of Newcastle will really need to show something special there because, like I said, it's still or die at this moment in time. If you want to go towards the finals, you have to be winning the games now.
Yeah, this is going to be a key one, and it'd be really good as well just to knock UQ down, I think, a peg or two if you're thinking from UON. Granted, at the moment with the standings, you might be thinking, well, it's probably better to beat New South Wales there in second. They're going to be our closer opponent. As we do load into the map, however, you can only play who's in front of you. And right now for UON, that is the UQ side. Now, Dark noted not playing this game as well, and the VKs noted are out for UQ. So this is exactly what I was talking about before with UON. This is why this map could favor them. They're taking the Cromwells, they're taking those Beauties, and I think those are the superior tanks, and I think they stand a chance now.
Well, they are rolling together as a 3-man unit. I say that, but of course, Napalm is chilling out a little bit further back behind. I think something else we also need to take into account is Napalm really is sort of that X factor for the University of Newcastle team. The shots that we've seen this tanker managed to pull off is pretty damn incredible. So I really think if we've got a Napalmer in form today, the University of Queensland might find themselves on the sights of an upset.
Yeah, it would be a pretty big upset if we can go in that direction. At the moment, though, everyone is sort of spotting each other out. And by everyone, I mean Notbeast has spotted out the rotation coming from UON. Some early shots taken, and it will be Leshy who kind of takes those first couple of chip shots. Nothing dramatic, but the information has been shown. And now if you're Hot Rod, you know they're coming straight for you. You've got them in your line of sight. Do you blow your shots now? Do you wait for your team to reposition? Or do you go for the kill on Leshy?
I mean, they still have vision at this moment in time. No one knows that Hot Rod's actually there at this moment in time.
Yeah.
That Cromwell could go for a big shot there. He's actually got the angle on the side armor, so that might actually have enough to go for a bit of destruction. They are moving a little bit closer in woods. They have the high ground for the time being, but still, this Hot Rod and the Cromwell just sitting back, completely unaware at this moment in time. But he knows they're there, and he's just waiting for his moment to strike.
I mean, again, UQ is a patient team. That said, Notbeast's engine has been clipped, so that's a good chunk of damage. His free return, though, Leshy. Oh, Leshy's not long for this world, and I do worry if Leshy starts to go towards that hill where that Hot Rod is waiting. That could be a bad time for Leshy. Now, Napalmer still stayed hidden as another big shot seems to have gone through. Doesn't really make contact. The VKs are going to be on the move through the village. It's all on this Cromwell, though. When will Hot Rod make their play?
I think he's waiting for when Napalmer shows up as well. They're just trying to hold some form of cards in their back pocket in case they can bring something up. But yep, whenever he's seen it as well, they're going to get the opportunity to take a shot there. Could have taken out Leshy, but like you said, immediately spotted out Blacksify. No hesitation with that shot. And Hot Rod's like, all right, I'm out. See you later.
Well, Hot Rod shot ricocheted, unfortunately. So Hot Rod, all that waiting, and the end result was actually a losing trade. Meanwhile, yeah, Napalmer, that exit is about to get cut off by Scorpio as Notbeast is going to continue to pelt from the village down below. Scorpio will eventually get to the side of Napalmer, and you can see the immediate reaction. Leslie probably has to rotate down, but on no health, it's a risky play either way, as it does look as if back before Blacksify has gone on the hunt. So, unfortunately for Napalmer, on his own to get the heavy. Now Leshy's going full speed ahead. Do we go ramming speed? Suicide ram. Oh, not quite. Instead, it's the flank. Shot missed, though. It hit the dirt right next to Scorpio, who can just turn around. And one last shot from Leshy does get the kill. The shot from behind misses, and somehow Leshy gets out of that alive.
Yeah, I was just looking at the reload at that moment in time, and Leshy just comes out by a slither HP. He's still going at 24 HP. Now, Blacksify here hanging out against Hot Rod. He's got him down to 69 HP. It's all going to come down to this next shot. He's actually holding onto it, but because he held on, didn't take the shot, didn't take the hit, Notbeast does find it and manages to save his teammate as well on a slither of HP, and now it's Leshy against the world.
Leshy knows where Hot Rod is, though, and should get the first shot on him. Over the hill we go. We saw the dive work once. Can it work a second time? Not quite. Leshy's shot wound up hitting the dirt. Hot Rod shot hit true, and UQ, they barely survive round one.
You know, I really feel that was one of those moments where the saying really sings true is you miss every shot you don't take.
True.
Because the University of Newcastle really were just sitting back, trying to make sure they can get that perfect shot off, and because they didn't take, just take the shot, they never shot it. They just died. So it's one of those scenarios where really these guys do need to just sort of, it is nice to make sure you line things up, but sometimes you can't hesitate. You have to think to yourself, when I do go and try to hit this person, it will damn hit on that shot. Otherwise, you hesitate too much and you end up falling down to them actually just shooting first.
Yeah, it was an interesting back and forth at the end of the day, though. However, Uh, yeah, miss every shot you don't take. And I do appreciate how Leshy sort of played that one. Leshy was the one who's willing to go all out for it. Leshy was the one kind of going for those dives on low health. We should all be more like Leshy.
But he didn't dive. He was like chicken, and you just pulled out the last second.
Oh, yeah,
right?
but he wound up winning the trade. It worked.
I guess, yeah, true. He did win the trade there. A lot of damage came out because of it in the end, and you can really see Napalmer once again doing a number on UQ, 1,714 damage. If just a little bit more was performed by Leshy or Blacksify there, could have seen a different result. But of course, on the flip side, looking at Scorpio, Not Beast, and Hot Rod, even though more damage seems to be coming out of the way of University of Newcastle, those extra tanks or the VKs with a better effective HP able to hold out against all of that damn shelling coming on through, and that means they were able to take away this first map.
Yeah, and I mean, the VKs, they did take a lot of abuse, too. It wasn't as if it was, a finesseful fight out of the VKs. They kind of just parked themselves in the village, took some pot shots, and eventually just advanced and kind of pincered UON in. So I'm curious if we are going to see UON change up their strategy or not. I mean, the Bugi seemed to do some work. I wouldn't mind seeing 2 of those perhaps out there, but 1 VK would also go a long way. I think you need something kind of match that, for lack of a better term, pure tankiness coming out of the VKs. That was something that was lacking on the UON side. So hopefully, I'd say 1 VK, even 1 VK, 1 BUG, 1 Cromwell even would be a nice sort of mix. I'd like to see.
And we have seen the BUGI just do some extra work across all the teams here. I mean, I've seen Epic, Asian Penguin really use the BUGI to some great effect as well. So it's really nice to see an Napalmer also shining on it. And it is nice just to have a good mix of it coming into it. I would have preferred perhaps 1 heavy tank in there just to sort of sit in the front lines and allow Napalmer to probably shoot out a little bit more. Maybe things would have changed up a bit, but of course they wouldn't have been able to get that position. So you really are, it's a game of strategy, sacrificing certain things up to get something else in return.
Yeah, as I do hope we are going to be getting to that map soon. A little bit of a longer delay in between game 1 and 2. Just kind of waiting to see where UON will go with this one. I imagine UQ, though, they're going to stay with that same strategy. It seems to work with them. Like the VK heavy tanks, they just do so much work for UQ time and time again.
Well, another thing as well is that now you're warmed up on that tank. You're pretty used to what you're going to go into do. And I generally, when I do see it as well, they don't swap the tanks around. Once they've picked a tank, they tend to stick to those tanks throughout the rest of that map. Then, of course, when we do swap around to what's going to be the next map, Cliff, we probably see an update in the strategy, a different variation of tanks making it onto the field.
Yeah, so we will see as that happens. The game has kind of just been loading in right now, so we will be getting in quite soon. UON, I do feel like, though, this is kind of a must-win map for them if they're going to come back in the series. I don't know if they come back down 2-0 in the future. So, a lot of pressure on this UON side, who have gone for the Skoda now instead of the BUGI. I'm a little bit surprised by that.
Yeah, the Skoda definitely a bit more. I mean, they're both both medium tanks in what they bring, but the BUGI is more of a sharpshooter. Does bring a little bit more extra on that side. But I think the Skoda's got some of the same capability, but just not the same sort of firepower. I think the Skoda's a little bit faster in comparison, so maybe they're trying to get some better angles, and hopefully that should edge them over to a victory that way. But again, a lot resting on Napalmer here to really show up and give his team a bit of a leg up.
Yeah, as we do once again make our way to that hill for UQ this time around, and they are going to get up there quite quickly. So we'll see what UQ can do with the high ground. It didn't really work too well for UON, who take some pot shot. There's no vision there. That was just a shot like, hey, I see you over there, UON, going to that high ground. Sorry, I got the 2 teams mixed up. But UON on the high ground, UQ taking the pot shots. They're looking pretty comfortable right now, though. The thing is, eventually UON, they are going to have to be the aggressors this time around, so they're going to send Napalmer out in front.
What I do like is that initial position beforehand that was being abused by Hot Rod is now being abused by the University of Newcastle. He's sitting there also on the exact same side of the bushes there. Napalmer is going to make their way across the map on this side here, perhaps look for a flank and get in from behind, but I think he will be spotted out before he gets an opportunity for it. He's slowing down now just as he edges over the hill, doesn't want to be caught out too much just yet, so still keeping himself relatively camouflaged here as he's making his way around.
Yes, they are staying hidden. Napalmer just up in that corner. And, good on him in that regards. The problem is, look how far back some of the members of UQ are playing at this stage. In particular, I can't quite see who it is. It's one of the VKs. I believe it's not
He's literally off the map.
Oh, Scorpio. No, it was Scorpio, who is off the map on one end. And, that's That's ambitious. Either way, though, Napalmer actually scouted them out, so they know how far back UQ is sitting. I wonder if this is going to affect their approach. Like, obviously, now they have an idea, okay, we're not going to run into some fire until we really expose ourselves out in the open. It's going to make any move that UN makes at this stage that much more difficult unless Napalmer can get a good shot from here.
Yeah, he's edged himself as well right up against that map. Seeing if you can just maybe get something there near that barrier. Maybe you can get a shot off, but very hard from this distance, even with a Skoda on tow. And what's really annoying about Prokhorovka is the fact that, of course, they've got all the points surrounded by initially doing this. Yeah, they're sitting really far back, but they've got perfect vision. They're going to see UON coming a mile away. It's really hard to jump on either one or two without just them collapsing immediately. And they do have more firepower just when you look at it pound for pound in terms of what's going to be in these loadouts and the VKs themselves. So it is a bit rough here for the University of Newcastle because they are on attack. They have to make a move. The countdown is literally in play now, only 3 minutes and 50 seconds left. And Leshy is now making that sprint into the center of the map there. Hasn't really been spotted out just yet, but has made their way onto the point and
will be spotted now.
We go. Now he's going to be spotted, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to let UQ know, okay, they were able to sneak through. Thing is, I don't think Leshy knows that Not Beast is just over that hill, and eventually they are going to spot each other. Not Beast actually spotted first and wound up taking a chip shot. I'm not sure from you. I think that would have come from up at the top of the hill back before. And yeah, it's Black Ziffy just taking shots down at Not Beast as Leshy, still sitting on that point, has not been spotted. Capturing the base 25% of the way there. Not Beast is going to have to kind of push over that wall if they're going to take that shot on Leshy. Other than that, other UQ members have to rotate in.
Yeah, really well done there by Leshy as well to use that information that Napalmer scouted out to get in relatively unscouted. And now it seems things have flipped. UQ are the ones that need to start poking their heads out. They're the ones who can start making movement noise, which is, of course, going to get them spotted. And because they have taken that high ground spot there, you can see that it's going to be really good as well for this Cromwell just to shoot fire from above. And now they finally do spot out.
Scorpio.
They do reset the timer there. Nice little quick move there from Hot Rod. And Leshy's about to be forced out here because now Scorpio's on the shot.
Yeah, Scorpio was the one who hit that big impact on the Leshy right now. Granted, that does leave them exposed to Napalmer, who got a little bit back on Scorpio. No real damage of note, but the important thing is Leshy already down to 403, and they're really going to have to struggle to hold this point at this stage because UQ, they've got the beefiness of the VKs. They can take a hit or two if it means sort of resetting this capture base. Time in their favor as well. Only 2 minutes remaining. One more shot on Leshy without any other help means that capturing will no longer be an option, at least not a solo capture. And that means Leshy has to press forward straight into Not Beast, and down he goes.
Yeah, Not Beast was like lining up straight down the barrel. No real chance there for Leshy, who thought, okay, maybe there's no point playing the points now. We have to destroy, and ended up becoming a victim of his own strategy. Now Black Sapphire is also
it's the same thing.
Just jumping off the side here as well, but didn't expect probably the support coming across from Hot Rod, who's now a 2-on-1. Black Sapphire's trying to get around the house there for a little bit of cover, but the shots are still landing down past that half HP mark, and now he's on full retreat trying to get away, but the shots just keep landing from UQ. And Black Sapphire, I think your days are numbered.
I don't. It's a bit of a panic lemming strategy, but Black Sapphire just doing the same thing as Leshy, just going right over that bend into like the oncoming hellfire. This time though, yes, you saw 2 on screen, but in reality, that was a 3-on-1 because even Scorpio was taking shots from behind right there, and that just leaves poor Napalmer on their own. A minute to get 3 kills, sitting in a Skoda against 2 VKs. I don't see this one working out well for UON.
Yeah, I mean, Napalmer is that X factor, but you're going to need something more than just an X factor to get out of this situation. And you can see Hot Rod is pushing forward first, still has more HP now than Napalmer. The shots just coming through. It's an absolute shelling from Napalmer there, and he has been removed from the map.
Yeah, I mean, at second round went a lot cleaner than the first for UQ. Really well done. They played the patient game well, and eventually UON, they were forced to go and leave themselves in a very awkward rushing situation. It implodes in their face. UQ up 2-0, 1 point away from continuing their undefeated streak.
Look, University of Newcastle, they're down, but they're not out. It's going to be real tough. This is more than an uphill battle. I feel like it's an Everest you need to climb in order to make something come out of it. But of course, it is just so tough now. You're literally climbing up a cliff face that's beginning to go, vertical to the side and then drop you off the edge. Have you ever climbed up one of those tough sort of entries where in rock climbing where it literally starts, curving outwards.
Bouldering.
It's
I could get myself upside down and hold it, but I would never be able to move.
Yeah, I honestly think at this point that's exactly where the University of Newcastle is, and they need to find a way to somehow move it because that's just going to be tough.
Well, do they have a safety mat? Do they have the safety mat underneath?
There is no safety mat.
They're in trouble.
The safety mat has been replaced with lava.
That's a problem. Now, I honestly, though, it kind of feels like that because we are going to be going to Cliffs next, and I feel like Cliffs is very much a map that's going to favor UQ's kind of slow, methodical style.
Absolutely, and the thing is here is that the shots are on. They're in form today. I mean, looking at that, the entire team there performing across the board. Nordbeast, of course, the MVP with the most amount of damage, 1,041. Hot Rod nipping just at the tails there as well, 940. And Scorpio, of course, a very respectable 729. And it really shows you with UQ how this team just has everyone on board on the same page and really listening to decisions and who they're going to be taking out. Because like you said, even though it was a bit slower, it was damn clean. At the moment they knew they were ready to take their shots, I think except that initial bit at the beginning, because Nordbeast was just poking the head out. Did take a bit of damage there. I believe it was from Leshy on the top side as well. Not Leshy, from Laxivy on the top side there. But of course, afterwards, with that information, was able to peer through afterwards and get those quick kills onto Leshy and then just followed through afterwards.
Yeah, and then you had a pretty simple round win. So pressure on UON. Going into Cliffs, though, do UON continue with their no heavy tank style? Because I feel Cliffs, it can get a little bit brawly at time. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do bust out the VK this time around and try to go for more that, I don't know, slower, methodical approach, maybe try to match UQ. I don't see that working, though. Like, I'm a little bit concerned for UON just because of how badly the sort of like medium strategy played out before that. I don't know what's going to work today unless UQ start to make some mistakes.
It's so hard to just completely change your strategy midway through because you've seen it go, okay, we're going to play our game, we're not going to play their game. Looks like we are still playing their game, damn it. And then they, at that point, do we start playing their game as well? You're not going to be able to play it better, right? You sort of just need to hope that you've put enough preparation into it. You need to stick to that Brawly sort of mix that comes into it. Of course, it is going to be a different map, so you can make changes here, but I'm expecting Napalmer will probably be on a bit of a showy tank once again. If we are going to see VKs and heavies, it will be the other members of the University of Newcastle beginning to take something a little bit more role-play-ly in to allow that movement from Napalmer.
Yeah, we will see how that will play out. The game, though, it is starting, so we're going to make our way to the Cliffs. Last time we were here, this one had some very brawly finishes, just at the sort of ramp way into those ruins. That's where these fights do tend to wind up when it's all said and done. Last time we were here, if I remember correctly, UON actually tried to constantly rush sort of those ruins right on the south side of Point 2, and at the start of this map, they are heading that way.
Yeah, the lighthouse really is one of those sort of scenarios in the map that you want to try and get some good control over. We've got that, like you said, the ruins on the side here as well that you need to get around, but really you always want to be able to park at least one tank up on the top side there to sort of look over everything that's happening, and of course any movement allows you to then sort of scout out, and then from there you can make the correct decision. But of course it is a game that is literally working on some form of imperfect idea. Sometimes knowing where they not are is literally going to give an idea where it's going to be. So sometimes you need to make the correct inferences from that imperfect information.
Mm-hmm. And right now, well, the inferences we can make is that UQ is still playing that same patient game, and UON is going right back to where they love to play this map out, which is at the base of the lighthouse. So they're getting themselves set up. They're getting themselves nice and cozy. They want to work that high ground, just like actually we saw on our last map as well. UON definitely want to play to the high game, but it should be worth noting a bit of a tank swap. UON doing kind of what I expected. They busted out the VKs.
Yeah, VK's on the side here as well, but of course, Napalmer still rocking that BUGI, is going to be taking the top side of this cliff here as well. A little bit more nimble in comparison to the VK, so of course, we'll be able to get there in a little bit of a quicker fashion, but is a bit more susceptible and will be a bit more out in the open as well. So as you can see, Napalmer is trying to get a good scout out, see perhaps maybe if anyone's going to be trying to make a quick move from around the map just now, but of course, UQ are completely in the opposite direction. They're making their way towards one.
Yeah, they are just slow playing towards the top of the map, and this is such a UQ style right now. Granted, at this stage, UON should be able to figure out where UQ is by process of elimination. They know that they are on that left side. They know they're probably sitting behind, the temple, behind those ruins. The question is, where is UQ going to strike from, and from which angle right now, and who will spot out who first? Now, not Beast and Hot Rod. They are, kind of making their way. They're doing what they can. It's Scorpio who's going to be on the flank in the VK. That's going to be interesting. How much of an impact can Scorpio get kind of behind enemy lines as, the first tank is spotted? It is Hot Rod. Ooh, ricochet damage, though. Nothing gets through.
Yeah, just moving that little bit on the side there, and that's going to be a very happy Cromwell of being piloted by Hot Rod, not to actually get out of that shot without a scratch. But they do know what the actual strategy at this point is. They probably aren't going to be going towards that point one. They are moving towards point two. They made a sort of beeline around Ian, slowly edged afterwards just to see perhaps where they were in that scenario. And they do realize as well they're in a relatively entrenched position there. Those ruins really do provide excellent cover. But of course, the shots coming across from UQ are just too damn good because Black Tiffy is already down to 1,071.
Yeah, and this is where things are going to get a little bit dicey, I feel like, for that UON side. A little bit of chip damage, not too much yet. And realistically, UON still is actually kind of the healthier team just because of the double VKs that they have. But now that UQ knows where they are, UQ is very good at using limited information and just getting the most out of it. As we're seeing right here, a great push out of Not Beast on that Cromwell. Actually got into the ruins unspotted, is able to get a shot in. Doesn't do as much damage as they would like, however, but that is going to draw Scorpio forward. Granted, there's only 3.5 minutes left, so there's a little bit of sense of urgency coming from the UQ side, but they are springing their move now, and it is forcing UON to react.
Yeah, and you can see Leshy, Black Tiffy come around, actually leaving the protection of the ruins, but of course they're being shelled from the back end as well. They're trying to see if they can single out Nord Beast on these shots, but even though Scorpio is the one that's been taking most of the damage here, you can see now with that change, but Nord Beast says, you know what, I'm happy just to push myself straight into that line of fire. Does get in between the two tanks that sort of draw their attention. Black Tiffy's now moving towards Scorpio, trying to bring it down as well. Nord Beast is there in a little bit of support. He's got the ruins that are actually protect against Napalmer, but I mean, damn, Napalmer's been doing really good bit of shots there as well. Does take a lot of damage off Nord Beast at the same time, and these are two very low tanks here that are stuck up against something on the high ground. Napalmer at 398 HP is still relatively healthy enough to make something happen here, but as long as he needs to make sure he doesn't take any damage from Scorpio here. That's the key point. But he does. He goes down to 136 there, loses a little bit of momentum on the side here, and now things really looking dicey for UON.
So here's the thing, though. Hot Rod hasn't moved, and there is only 2 minutes left. If Napalmer can win this fight and actually hide out for a bit, there is a chance, but no! Damage that was coming from Scorpio. Eventually, Napalmer does get that kill. 36 health. Here comes the Cromwell. Here comes Hot Rod. Can he get himself in a safe spot and hide for 2 minutes?
Napalmer just run. He's been spotted out, though. This Cromwell is coming in at quick speed. He knows he's got all the HP. He's got all the... All he needs to do is ram. Doesn't even need to take a shot. He's just coming in.
Ram.
Just do it.
Just go for it. Ram him.
Oh.
Doesn't even ram the corpse.
He just wanted to have that cool fadeaway explosion there. Hot Rod just coming in hot, really. That's literally what happened there. And no hesitation, took the shot, knew exactly what he needed to do there. Napalmer tried as much as possible towards the end there. Did have a few good shots there, but he just took too much damage when dealing with that last remaining member there on the side. That is the rough moment there for him. He needs to make sure he's not taking that damage to actually stand a chance against Hot Rod in the follow-up.
Yeah, I have to agree on that one. It just was a little bit too rough around the edges, almost, it feels like, at the end. But that high ground was keeping this fight exciting, and I have to admit, that map in particular probably went better than I thought it was initially going to go for UON. They really made best use of the high ground, but that was kind of what I was expecting from this series overall, because we're seeing why UON can still be that dark horse in these types of situations. They were really close to bringing that one back. The problem was that initial brawl with the two VKs just did not go their way. It was once again a situation where UQ was able to get a lot closer to UON without UON really recognizing when they were advancing, and then all of a sudden the trap was sprung. UON was caught off a little bit off guard, and they kind of lost that fight before it even realistically begun. So we'll see how UON bounces back from this one. We'll see how they go on the attack. But as for the series, Mendrix, it is over. Technically, UQ has won this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. 3-0 right off the bat there. So, of course, the next game is a bit of a throwaway, but hey, a little bit of fun. Maybe, some new strategies can be executed as well, just to see if it has any merit going into the rest of the competition. Really do want to have a quick shout out there to Hot Rod as well. 1,512 damage there. Ends up MVPing it without losing any health on that map. That's the really impressive part. So those were some pretty nice long shots there from Hot Rod to actually get that nice, good damage on the back end. And that, of course, really did make the difference here in this particular map. Because I think if he missed a few shots, which was entirely possible from the range that was being shot at, things might have been a bit different there for Napalmer. I honestly reckon most of that damage coming across Napalmer was from Hot Rod.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, Hot Rod really did spend most of the time just kind of sitting on that far left side of the map, taking those pot shots, but the pot shots were hitting. So you can't really, they were more snipe shots than pot shots. And yeah, Hot Rod was on point in that one, just using the sort of space and the chaos created by Scorpio and Not Beast, and just was able to get that consistent damage out. But I think one of the more important things that they were doing as well is I feel like they were a big reason why Napalmer took so long to get as involved, because whenever Napalmer was peeking out, that's where we'd see like Hot Rod take those shots all the way up to the top of the lighthouse. So moving forward from here, we'll be curious to see how UON can react. I just love it. It's an example again after example again of how UQ has kind of been that more strategic team, and that's what's been keeping them kind of ahead of everyone else.
Absolutely. I mean, we take a look at UNSW, who we're expecting to be the team that has the most real chance of actually bringing down UQ. And when we look at it, we'd say, yeah, UQ, they do have pretty good mechanics, but UNSW have better mechanics, just unable to execute the strategy at the same level that UQ does. And that really is the difference there for them. So you can see, like you said, they just time and time after again. We are going to be moving now into the final game for this series. So hopefully we can see University of Newcastle bring something a little bit more fun into that mix, perhaps maybe even snatch one victory away from UQ.
Yeah, we'll see what they do bust out. I'm a little bit excited to see what we got right here, although I have a sad feeling we're probably going to be seeing a lot of VKs. Yeah, it's a lot of VKs on UON. It's in fact, it's nearly the exact same team compositions. The only difference is we got a Cromwell now instead of the BUGI.
Yeah, might as well make things a little bit change up here as well. I mean, they don't need to now be really rushed towards that lighthouse because, of course, they're going to be on the attack. They've got two options there. I would love to see something just sneaky. Like, hey, we're moving towards this one point, all right? Not going towards number two. We're not looking to actually get the kill there, which I was trying to force you to buckle under pressure. But really, it does look like these tanks possibly may just meet each other here towards that side of the map.
This is not what I was expecting. Look, the single file line from UQ right now, I just want them to stay in that. Just never break flow, never break rotation up. Okay, they're breaking out. No, they are going with it. It is the Caterpillar approach. Let's go, UQ, ramming speed, all three in a straight line, straight into UON. Black Zippy has no idea what to do. He's trying to peel out of the way as Leshy and Napalmer wail into him. They're going straight for Napalmer, though, around the outside. It's just straight into a brawl. Mendrix and Not Beast ramming speed into Napalmer, throws the tank sideways, follow-up coming from Hot Rod. They get the kill!
Scorpio is going to be the next to fall down as well, but what a flashy finish there for Napalm. And now Black Zippy is going to be the one under attack. Not Beast as well is just trying to get away from these two tanks there, but the Hot Rod coming on through might have enough to actually finish Black Zippy. And he is a really good play on this side here as well. He's actually going to be using the rocks here to get away from Leshy and perhaps finish off what is going to be the remains there of Black Zippy. Now it is going to be one-on-one, but it's a VK against a Cromwell, and a very healthy VK at that.
Yeah, we'll see how much damage Hot Rod can do. Here's the thing, though. That mobility. Look at this. Just playing Ring Around the Rosie right now. Leshy can't keep up. And by bumping the tank, he's actually helping guide the barrel. Oh, that shot's going to ricochet as now Leshy tries to go back the other way. First we were going clockwise, now we go anti-clockwise. You have to turn it back. Another shot only does a little bit of damage, but the Cromwell has the VK kind of jammed. There's not much Leshy can do. He has to try to drive away. He has to try to escape the Hot Rod just so he can better turn the tank. But again, Hot Rod is able to cut him off. This is masterful out of Hot Rod. One more shot does it. And it is the Cromwell that takes down the VK. It is Hot Rod that takes down UON.
He was on absolute fire. You could tell there was even at that point, he was like, all right, perhaps if I just turn my turret in the opposite direction, he might not expect, no one's expecting, he's turning it back around again and like that. It was just so tough. And it's actually really impressive to realize, oh, hey, he's beginning to swap the turret direction here. I now need to move it around as well, like just at that exact moment in time. Because, of course, you do have a little bit of deceleration when you do make that move and turn around again. So that was definitely very masterful from Hot Rod of that finish.
Yeah, that was fantastic, actually. That was great to see from Hot Rod, who pretty much did all the damage, got all the kills. You can say Hot Rod did all the work themselves. But overall, look, we got our fun map 4, right? We haven't actually seen too many fun map 4s. We finally got a fun map 4. So hats off to UQ right there for just going for the all-out rush. And it worked out for them. They got the 4-0 win.
It was literally the Caterpillar scenario, like you said, and it was just fun to watch them in that line. You're like, oh, they're going to break off. Is it them? And there isn't really. To be honest, it looks like the flying V. It's not a flying V. It's more like a flying eye, just moving towards the battlefield, beginning to take the shots. And that was a really fun finish there for the series.
It was a fun one. And UQ, I mean, they're having the most fun overall right now. Still undefeated through week number 4 of this event. So past the halfway point into one more round, and they're still looking quite good, Mendrix. The question is, though, when I look at things, like, again, New South Wales seems like that one team that can beat them. But UOW also is that team that is very desperate to start turning their fortune around as well. Could that next matchup be an upset?
Well, it is going to be UNSW up against the University of Waikato. So if they really want to be able to put themselves in a position where they can flip the scripts of this outcome, change the results, it needs to start tonight. So hopefully we can get a upset there for the University of Waikato to make this competition a little bit more interesting. But guys, we'll be moving to a quick break as well. So please do not go anywhere. We'll have that match coming up for you straight away.
Hey, I'm Rose Danielle. I'm a cosplayer, streamer, AV tech, and a massive Destiny fan. I'm going to check out how Destiny 2 runs on the Nitro 5. Look at this. Look, bring the camera in. Look at this. This is running Destiny at highest. It's still hitting 60 frames per second. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I don't believe it. I cannot fathom that this thing has that much grunt in such a tiny form factor. And there's so much going on the screen at the same time, like particle effects and stuff. And I can barely hear the fans too. If I had headphones on while I was gaming, you wouldn't even hear it. I like this thing. Can I take this? Will you guys mind if I take this? Like actually, hold on. Is this plugged in? This way, smooth, get away. It's fine.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? All the choices you made, did you make them again, 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 again? All the lies that you told, did you believe in them? Again, 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 again.
Secret superweapons are complex, often attributed to a single powerful mind. They are made possible by the efforts of assistants and junior researchers who rarely get the spotlight. Like Ermelinda Jung, a talented physicist with a spark for all things electromagnetic. Despite being young, Ermelinda contributed heavily to a classified high-tech tank project. But along with that, Miss Jung developed automated sentries for that large-scale vehicle. She even conducted performance testing of the units while piloting various tanks. The Luva was used to assess their targeting, and the T-92 to check their pathfinding. The Sentry's performance was optimized, and so was Ermelinda's. A brilliant young scientist became an aspiring tank commander. Make Ermelinda Jung fight on your side. pick up the September drop from Prime Gaming, High Voltage. Along with the Magnetic Commander, it offers you a choice of 2 out of 6 items. Chocolate, 5 missions for ×5 experience when victorious, and 4 rental tanks, including the Louvre and the T-92. You're also entitled to the fully charged decal, the Spark of Genius medal, a day of premium account, and more missions for ×5 experience. Acquire the High Voltage package by clicking on the dedicated World of Tanks Prime Gaming page. Link your Amazon and World of Tanks accounts. Proceed by clicking the Allow button and redeem the offer. If you did all that while in the game, just exit and log in again to get all the great stuff. Visit the official site for additional information. Claim High Voltage to honor the unsung heroines of engineering and all junior specialists doing their job well, and also some of their superiors' job. See you in battle, Commander.
Hey, I'm Mastro. I'm a Call of Duty Warzone streamer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Predator Helios 300. So my overall experience using the laptop, one thing I noticed straight away was how similar it was to using a desktop setup at home with a standalone monitor, for example. With the high refresh rate in this display, when I was inputting button presses, there was no delay whatsoever. Everything was really responsive. And because of the RTX 30 series graphics card as well, Warzone's a very demanding game, but the laptop was performing very well. And for me as a streamer, one thing I thought about was I could actually take this laptop, you know, if I'm going away and I want to still stream, I would be able to put everything I need into this laptop, my controller, my webcam, plug into the USB ports, and I'll be able to stream on the go as well. So if you're a Warzone player and you want to be able to have an option where you can take it on the go, this laptop is actually perfect for you.
Welcome back to the Australian Esports University League for World of Tanks. If you're just joining us, UQ have maintained their position at the top of the ladder after getting another win against the University of Newcastle. Now, let's see if we get to see a repeat performance from the UNSW up against the University of Waikato, or perhaps now we do finally get to see that upset here in week 4 of the competition.
Can I be Debbie Downer a little bit? Can I make a bold prediction? Real quick?
Yep.
I don't think it's going to happen because over the break, we got some more information coming our way that's going to make it that much more difficult for UOW to find their first victory. They're going into this matchup, Mendrix, 2v3. So they're going to be a member down, and we kind of saw a little bit of this last week as well, where it was actually University of New South Wales, I believe, who was a member down, if my memory serves me right. They still were able to climb out and find victories. Well, now it's UOW who's going to be a member down, and that just does not bode well.
Yeah, it's going to be very rough. I mean, also last week we did get to see, I think it was the University of Waikato up against University of Queensland as well. And it was that scenario where it was a 2 versus 3. And just to add insult to injury, that was the time UQ was like, and we're going to bring up Dark as well. You know, it's fine. Dark gets to come here in as well. He gets to have a bit of fun on the light tank. So we should be jumping into that action shortly. I'm very keen to see what strategies you do use against when it's 2 tanks against 1. But no, never mind. Actually, it's not going to be that case.
Oh, it is 3. We were fed false information, Mendrix.
Damn. Oh well. All good. Perhaps that was
I know, this is a
all part of the
better-
what? Look, it was the Grasshopper's plans all along, right? They wanted to say, "Hey guys, you've only got 2." That would have perhaps brought out a little bit of a overconfidence in UNSW, and that means we got some there. But is that an Arcadia? No, that's not actually. There's
no.
F. No,
No.
there's F. Sorry, an FV3. Sorry, FV304 being put into the mix. Okay, cool. I was kind of like, that's not a tank I've ever heard of before. That's the name, of course.
We also have like several OIs, so that's a little bit different as well
Mm-hmm.
coming into this matchup. So no VKs. I think this is the second time ever we've seen a map without the VK.
Yeah, I'm really looking at that. Both teams actually running the OIs as well. Like it's interesting to see that. Perhaps things have really changed here on Prokhorovka in terms of what needs to be the play here.
But we also
Plenty of
finally got our
HP,
artillery.
plenty of firepower, but let's see what this ends up being the move for it as well. We do have, of course, Skelmus sitting here on the M44. Oh, actually, no, that's that's Arcadia on the FV304.
FV.
But it is going to be 2 heavies up against the 2 light tanks. So similar compositions coming into play.
With Artie in the background. I've been waiting for this, though, Mendrix. We've been waiting for Artie all season long so far. It only took us a month to get here. I'm excited to see the impact these Artie tanks are going to bring out as the heavies, they have spotted each other. First shots are coming through, and initial damage, it is going in favor of the University of New South Wales. There's the first Artie shot, and that's a big chunk of damage onto Epic.
Yeah, it was not expecting that hit coming across there. Straight down to 862 HP here. Now it needs to be up to Arcadia to do something in return as well. Hasn't fired a shot just yet, but of course, Whale and MBS, they are in the firing lane for Penguin and Epic. They have spotted out Penguin for the time being as well, where we can see Epic's trying to sort of shelter behind at this moment in time. But Arcadia making a different move there. I think he's saying, you know what? I'm actually going to look for Skelmus instead. I mean, we've got the 2 artillery there. If they do manage to get a quick shot onto him first, that's going to be a quick way to actually get a nice advantage into it. And Arcadia's moving in.
Yeah, this could be a very disastrous for Skelmus, who takes another shot. That one didn't really do much damage at all. That will reveal where Arcadia is also. And Skelmus is going to try to rotate back, but they had just taken a shot. So they were still going to be reloading by the time I think we get there. Do we get the shot coming from Arcadia? We're seeing a lot of flank, a lot of positioning. Arcadia gets behind a big chunk of damage.
He's still
down
going
on Skelmus.
Oh! He doesn't find the perfect shot there, but the armor penetration there is huge, and he is going to be a return kill there on the other side. Arcadia has gone down. Skelmus now can sit on the fire and continue to rain havoc from afar, and it is now going to be a 3-on-2 up against Epic and Asian Penguin. And now this is definitely what we wanted to see. Another shot comes in large and takes a chunk out of Epic, who's looking at MBS to finish things off. And now it is finally going to be a 2-on-2. But Whale does have a decent amount of HP available. Now, do they swap their attention onto Skelmus, or they just try to clear out Whale?
I think they're going to try to clear out Whale for right now, which is going to give Skelmus more shots. Another big chunk of damage out of Epic, but the follow-up from Whale doesn't get the penetration needed. Shots are ricocheting as Asian Penguin now is just going to be trying to body block for their teammate. Like, quite literally, it's the Rule 1 situation right now, just outside of checkpoint 2, and down goes Whale. So Skelmus in the artillery had to get a kill on the Epic right there, but the shot came a little bit short.
And things now looking real rough here, because you still have Asian Penguin there on 1210 HP. You do need to make that next shot count here. If there's going to be any hope, Epic needs to be taken out with this next reload. But Skelmus is on the retreat here. One of the things that is unfortunate for the scenario for Skelmus is, of course, he's going to be on attack. So he has to either A, get onto the point, which, to be honest, you're not putting an arty on the point ever. And as I say, that beautiful shot there coming through from Epic while Skelmus is out in the open on the move, and we'll be able to find that final shot there. And that was looking a little bit dicey for UNSW at the start, but they do manage to turn things around at the very end there with some critical shots, not really finding the mark in the later stages of that particular map.
In my book, UOW won the Artie war. All right, they won the Artie duel. They came out on top there. That's all that matters. We finally got our artillery, and it did not disappoint in that regards. But the brawling capabilities of the University of New South Wales, those mechanics when it gets, nitty gritty, tight and dirty, they did come out on top despite the heavy damage we saw coming from the back line out of Skelmus on that Artie. As you can see, 0 damage done by neither of the UIs that were in the front line for UOW. And that, I feel, is the reason why unfortunately, the team from New Zealand came up short.
But what I like about this is that even though, yeah, MBS and WAL didn't hit the mark there, the strategy shows that it is quite sound because both teams decided to bring artillery and two heavies into the mix, right? And this is something that, we've been wanting to see. Like, no VKs, give us something a little bit different. Finally, we get it. And it is pretty exciting when it comes across there. And sometimes, perhaps even one side doesn't need to be performing the best in order for it to work out entirely to be the case. Perhaps, if MBS just gets one extra shot or WAL gets one extra shot, things will open up for Skirmish to really perhaps close that out. But again, not going to be the case. What was to be expected was UNSW coming on top here. But if we get another map like that and things do go the way of the Grasshoppers, we might see something a little bit different here. So perhaps an upset is on the horizon, but we have to wait and see until the next map loads up.
Yeah, we'll see if they continue with this strategy because I can't help but feel like when you get, a mirror matchup like that, that's completely off the meta from what we've seen thus far. If there hasn't been some sort of gentleman's agreement going on behind the scenes that, hey, we're going to have some fun with this one and kind of each bust out some different strategies. So I'm kind of hoping we get to see something similar again in our second map as well. I love the two UIs plus artillery. I thought that led to a very interesting mix, and I want to see more of that in the future. Granted, you do lose out on the mobility, which has been proven to be quite strong so far, especially in these 3v3s. If you go for that approach, doesn't mean you can't go for it nonetheless. And hey, why not go, throw a Cromwell in there? Like throw in the heavy, throw in a Cromwell, throw in an Artie. We've already seen one, Cromwell take down a
one
VK
of each,
if it does come down to push the shove.
And
Exactly. I want everything. Variety is key.
Well, we have to wait and see what's going to be the next one. I'd love to see another two heavies with an artillery come into the mix again. And again, what I've seen happen from these players is that when they do pick a specific tank, they like to stick to it. Although this is a little bit of a elongated engagement before we do move into the next round here. And what makes me think about that is there's probably going to be a change of tanks. That means that the strategy is being moved around a bit. They need a little bit of extra time to jump into the max and ready up, which means they're probably swapping out a few tanks. So I reckon we are going to probably see a little bit of a different mix-up now coming into this next one.
Good. I'm excited to see what they bring if we go kind of return to convention or if we continue to kind of play wacky buggers in this one out. Either way, though, I think we're going to see something fun. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I'm curious to see what happens with the University of New South Wales. I'm being told it's looking a lot more regular this time around, so don't get too excited. All right, we had our Artie match. It came and went. It wasn't map 4. It was map 1. I think that's a little bit different as we do load in. Yep, there we see 2 Cromwells and a VK for New South Wales. 3 VKs, 2 H1P for the side of UOW.
So yeah, a little bit of definitely a little bit more standard coming into it, but what's going to be good there, of course, is we do have some pretty quick tanks here available for UNSW. The Cromwells are a little bit quicker than the VKs. I'm going to be interested to see if this does end up being something that matters, because of course, if you do just land some good shots off, that less HP is really going to be a factor. It is all going to come down to them making sure they can get in behind the Grasshoppers in this scenario. So it is going to require a bit more finesse from the UNSW to really pull through in the scenario.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to be able to use that finesse. I mean, it's hard when you're in heavy tanks. Like the VK doesn't really strike me as something that, can dance like a ballerina. Definitely can sting like a bee, though, as they are going to make their way towards that midfield line. It will be Skelemis kind of leading the charge at the moment. Arcadia will be the first one who they do come across, and the question is, how much damage can Arcadia do? Arcadia will be behind that boulder, will be a little bit tougher to spot out, and you can see already on the other side, Epic as well as Asian Penguin, each starting to surround the University of Waikato, and they might be able to kind of ploy a trap in a sense.
Yeah, looking like they're trying to find themselves in what seems to be a little bit of a flank on the back end. It's going to be Epic coming in from behind. Arcadia, though, does need to really be careful here. There's still 3 tanks there. If they make a quick move here before we do get the position of UNSW into play, they could just decide to jump on that one tank and really divide and conquer in the scenario. But Arcadia does just back away, wants to get a little bit of extra distance into it. Now we seem to have what seems to be a pretty good surround here for UNSW, and now beginning to take their shots off here. As you can see, we do have Epic on that Cromwell shooting from the fire end as well, getting some hits in from behind. MBS taking the brunt of it. WAL is sitting there and trying to get in front of Skelemis at this point, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. From Epic taking those extra shots as well, each time they're landing as well, it's really rough here for the Grasshoppers to actually get themselves in a spot where they'll be safe here, because they really are being fired on all angles now.
Yeah, I mean, they got a little bit of chip damage back down on Arcadia, but the big thing is, I feel like, is that Cromwell in the distance out of Epic just kind of keeping them pinned in an awkward position. So even when they rotate back, they're still going to be in that line of fire, and they are just being whittled down. Whale takes a big chunk of damage all of a sudden. It's going to be down to 178. One more good shot could beach this Whale, and it's going to be Arcadia trying to line something up. Not sure they got the angle just yet because of that boulder, but that's okay. The University of New South Wales know exactly where UOW is. They know they have them pinned. They know they have them bloodied. It's just all about when they make their move, and that's going to be the first kill.
Yeah, just nice little moves there back and forth there. Nice little dancing, waiting for that reload to come in and just aiming those shots. And now you can see they've got a lot more confidence as they're coming into it. Happy to take a bit more damage. And that is going to mean that the next member is going to fall down. Skelmus now is against everyone else. He's a man being shot at 3 different angles here as well. He's got no cover. He's got no hope. And he's been removed from them.
And that's going to be a 2-0 victory thus far for the University of New South Wales. They get through our first map and pretty much unscathed. If you go look at it out, yeah, map 1 was a little bit spicier. Granted, it came from a little bit more of that meme strategy, but when we went a lot more convention, you can see how the University of New South Wales, they're a little bit faster than UQ in terms of pulling the trigger and going for these fights, but they're just as accurate when the time calls for it, and they get a very convincing win.
Yeah, it's also that matter of them probably getting something that's just a little bit more practice in terms of we could come into it. We don't really get a chance to see the artillery and those heavies come into this mix unless it's the VKs specifically. And that really began to show on that map there because you could tell that UNSW looked a little bit more shaky. They had the right moves with the strategy. Hey, just wait for Skelmus to take a shot, come in late as well. That reload is going to really hurt. And unfortunately, even though the shot landed, it wasn't enough to actually end Skelmus, which I think was a real big deal there. And of course, the next shot that was fired in return just happened to penetrate that armor. So things were a lot more dicey in that case. But as soon as it was going back to a standard play, you can see that mechanics coming across, good positioning, really into the mix there. And that was just too much for the Grasshoppers to get around.
Yeah, and now that the Grasshoppers are in kind of that win situation, we're dropping one more map, unfortunately, for them. Means they will lose out on this series. And with the way how New South Wales is playing, both under pressure and, well, kind of when in a controlled situation, it tells me that they should be kind of marching on through New South Wales. I mean, for UOW, a bit of desperation right now. Bust out that artillery again. Why not, as we're getting set to go back to the cliffs once more. New South Wales, last time they were very, very fast on this map, just like they were kind of like what we just saw in the past. I expect to see more rushing coming out from the Sydney side.
Yeah, I expect to as well. They do like to make their moves. Again, just sort of hit your opponent with a bit of shock and awe before they have a real chance to actually come up with a solid strategy. And that way you just say, yep, too late, too bad, too sad, too slow. You are the one that hesitated, and so you have evaporated. Now, yeah. I want to also take into account before I really would want to look at Epic there, because Epic did a ridiculous amount of damage, 2,100. With that was pretty damn huge. Basically, all the HP on the team there for the Grasshoppers. Of course, Arcadia got the kill. He got 2 kills there, but Epic got 1, and really that was definitely a well-earned kill off that back of it because he was just raining down hell from afar.
Yeah, Epic was the one who was sitting in the back, just kind of cutting off that escape, and they were the one who found the flank. And if I'm not mistaken, UOW never even found where Epic was hiding throughout the entirety of the second map.
Yeah, it literally was a sniper scenario, and just really understanding how to use that cover effectively, taking the shot, moving backwards a little bit just to get out of the edge there with the camouflage in the right section as well. Just these particular ideas and understanding how the game works in order to keep yourself hidden and continue to fire those shots is really effective, especially against teams that perhaps haven't put themselves on the map yet, or haven't put themselves really on that ladder effectively yet, and put themselves in a position where they're going to be able to do it because they were just stuck there. I mean, that was honestly like shooting fish in a barrel at that point. They were all concentrated in one spot. They didn't really have a way out at that point. They could have perhaps beelined across the edge of the train tracks at that point, but you know exactly where they're going to be. There's no real chance for them to recover into a better position, so they had to just slug it out at that point.
Yeah, they had to slug it out, and, well, the slugs never really came out. That said, it does look like we're about to load onto the cliffs for map number 3. A win here for New South Wales means they win the series and continue to remain one, series behind the likes of UQ. However, if UOW can mount that reverse sweep comeback, it's got to start on this ploy right here. They are on the attack, UOW, but it's a very slow-moving attack, despite the fact they're only running one heavy, the BUGI and the Cromwell, kind of the main striking force out of New Zealand.
Oh, they do have what seems to be the Cromwell making the move first, just trying to get up there. Seems to be a bit of a quick rush here towards the center of the map here. The ruins seem to be the play. No one really taking advantage of the lighthouse just yet, but as you can see, Epic just beginning to move a little bit further down, trying to get again into a position where we can find some shots from behind, which make things a bit rough there. We do have Whale now on towards that lighthouse as well. Been spotted out there. Asian Penguin completely moving into the top there, but no shots fired just yet because it doesn't really have the angle on those shots, but we do have 2 members from each side spotted out for the time being.
Yeah, we do see, a little bit of scouting, a little bit of poking and prodding. UOW getting more and more damage chipped against, and they finally spot out Epic, and they're able to throw something back towards those ruins. But when it comes to the lighthouse in and of itself, I mean, they're up in the hills. They're hiding. The problem is they kind of left their VK behind, and now Skelemis is just getting targeted by Epic and chipped further and further and down. That's supposed to be your front line of defense right now, UOW, and it looks like it's going to be up to the Bugi and the Cromwell to kind of get the jump onto Asian Penguin and Arcadia.
Yeah, the Skoda is back in retreat, trying to make their way around the ruins as well. He's going to be able to get a few shots there. And the focus fire seems to be on Whale, who's like, oh, I want to get out of here. But of course, not really the best terrain to actually make a retreat over as well. Is thinking about sort of just dancing on the side here and is down to 298 HP. That focus fire just so good coming across there from UNSW. And it seems that now they do have themselves, the Grasshoppers find themselves in a little bit of dire straits here because a lot of members have really been just moved out and they just completely make a hard swap there onto Whale, who's just deleted.
Yeah, Whale just trying to peek up around the corner and was just one shot gone. That was a massive burst of damage, and unfortunately, now a member gone. UOW, they leave themselves exposed to the rush down, and that's how come Skelemis is just desperate to try and keep Epic back behind the ruins. Unfortunately, though, in that 1v1, it kind of leaves your teammate, poor MBS, in the 2v1 situation on the other side, which is about to get a little bit brawly, I feel like, eventually. Epic still trying to find a way to get the shots on the Skelemis. This time it's Skelemis who wins out on the trade.
Yeah, but what I really love about this is like Epic's technically trying to hull dance around that rock for the time being, but he's still getting the worst end of the trade there, and it seems to be probably just these extra ruins here in the front here. I guess you could call them the mini ruins, really, just hiding in the back there, making things a little bit difficult here for the Skoda to make the hit onto it. And of course, it is a bit hard to see through the terrain on that side. So Skirmish doing a good job there, but Arcadia now has entered into the fray. It says, you know what? One way for us to do this is just to rush you from this side as well. That ends up bringing MBS out, and Asian Penguin jumps out and snatches up that tank. And now Skelmus here is trying to get into at least get a kill onto Arcadia, but at that point, it was nothing they could really do, and it was just a nice quick pickup, a divide and conquer from UNSW. Whale went down first, then MBS, and then to finish off with the Skelmus.
Yeah, and the end result is, well, a pretty clean victory when it comes down to it. The University of New South Wales, even better than the last map that we saw. They're just getting stronger and stronger with each sort of play out there. And I feel at the end of this one, it really was just a case their shots were more accurate. They pressed forward at the right moments, and unfortunately for UOW, they just don't have that experience yet. I feel like that a lot of the other schools competing in this event have. Like UOW, they're still they're relatively newer players. They're not quite at that same point, and sometimes it just shows in maps like this.
Absolutely. The fact that it is a very hard map to actually quantify. It's easy to learn. There's only like 3 real routes that you can take to get in and out. But that does mean, of course, that if you are trying to master it, you need to really understand where are the specific spots that you can get the better angles from, where you're going to be able to be in a good line of defense, where you can get the best peaks. And you can tell Epic had an idea to make it work. Even Skelmus and the team knew, like, hey, here's the strategies that come across here. But the way that they're able just to force you out, basically take your attention onto other tanks when they come through, and that ends up just allowing them to find shots where you don't expect it, is a lot of extra experience coming across from UNSW, and it really showed in this final map.
Yeah, it did, very much so. So, University of New South Wales, they get the 3-0. They get the sweep. They have won the series. We won't be going to our last map, No Tundra, today, but we still are going to have one more fight along Cliffs. We've already seen these two teams kind of, mix it up once, go off meta one time around. you have to wonder if we're going to bust out the RD again. I somehow don't think so. I feel like we're going to be a bit more conventional one more time. Last time we saw UQ kind of caterpillar it down that left side, and things got very spicy very, very quickly. New South Wales, they can be that faster team. I wonder if they're going to try to race UQ in that regards.
I mean, that would be one way to make things very spicy. We are getting ready to jump into that next match. I would prefer to see something a little bit more slower, actually, from UNSW, just to say, hey, we're going to try to have some fun with this. Perhaps give you that opportunity to really learn as well for the Grasshoppers, and just say, we want to make sure that you can come back a little bit stronger the next time. So let's see what they do decide to do. But I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm up for both. I'm up for a quick map, or I'm up for a long one. I love to see it, something a little just has a little exciting flair into it. Something that sort of says at the end there will be an exciting finish.
I mean, we've already got an artillery. I don't know how much more. We had an artillery duel.
Okay, so what would be the most exciting thing in tanks for you? Would you just say like 3 artillery?
Yeah. Ooh, the 3 artillery team probably would be the peak moment. That would be.
We're talking, but I'm not talking 3 artillery team on 1. I'm talking both teams have 3 artillery.
Yeah. So the 6 RD match.
Yes.
That's peak, and you have to only can get win by ramming.
Okay, what's the best ramming tank? Would it be the VK? Nah, VK would be.
No.
I feel like you
need something with speed.
Yeah, something with speed, but it needs to have good HP as well, right? That's the problem. Otherwise,
it's hard. Finding that balance is hard.
I mean, we've seen it happen in the ads beforehand when we see like there's a moment when a tank's like, I'm a ram into this one. It rams in and just blows himself up, right? You need to have someone who's got speed with a little bit of extra, I guess you could say, beef behind them in order to make sure that they're not going to just kill themselves.
I mean, on a hill, I'd give it to the VK.
Oh, 100%. Every day. you at that point, you've literally got the gravity coming from side to. I'm trying to think how big the hill would need to be though for like you'd want it to be the VK.
I think
for the lighthouse hill. I'd love to see it line up from the lighthouse. Like we're talking like the top of the lighthouse coming straight down, and at that point using the velocity to just ram into something. I don't care what it is. Just put a Russian destroyer or a Japanese destroyer there. I would love to see that happen. Just on the side, right? It understands that it can't move and take a shot here. Just see a VK run in and make the hit.
I feel like if you get a VK going down that hill at full speed, nothing's stopping it. Like, it doesn't matter. It legitimately doesn't matter when it hits. But at the same time, I'm not sure how much control the driver would actually have in that situation.
I don't think it would be. I mean, I reckon it would be relatively okay with that control because you'd be setting up beforehand your trajectory.
I guess.
So you're lining yourself up. I'd be really concerned if the tank was like, okay, or the driver was like, all right, I want to go here and try to ram this particular person and not take into account the debris, the boulders, the trees that could possibly be in the way before he decides to obviously, take off from the starting line. That would be really concerning if the driver did that. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if a player did that because obviously it's a different ballgame when a player's like, yeah, I'm driving this tank down the line here and let's just see what happens.
Yeah, that would make things spicy if they went for that. I don't know. I just want to see the VK do a high speed sort of 90-point turn and see if they could pull it off and watch as it flips.
Just cue the Tokyo Drift music just like as it comes around the side.
I just want the clip. I just want the clip. That's all I want. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be getting a clip, Mendrix.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I think we're having some issues at the moment in time, and that means that, that's unfortunate. We won't be getting the 4th match. So, what can you do? Sometimes these things happen. I wanted to see a VK literally drifting around the corner into an IO. That would have been great.
So, you know what? We might have to get in the game and make it ourselves.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it. It's going to happen.
We'll do it.
We're going to happen. Watch us, guys. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Well, guys, unfortunately, we're not going to be getting our 4th map, but of course, that means we still need to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. So, I mean, to be honest, there wouldn't be 3 maps without them, so we need to let them know what's happening. Of course, they've got some fantastic stuff as well. Predator conquering new worlds with Predator Gaming. Put power and precision in your hands thanks to the quality and performance of Predator. AOC, the best viewing experience, offering a wide selection of stylish monitors for home, office, or gaming to millions of loyal customers worldwide. RIG, developing headsets, delivering superior audio for competitive gamers and streamers at all levels. Also, just a quick shout out to Wargaming Sydney. Without these guys, we wouldn't be able to put this competition on as well. So thank you very much for helping us out and get everything there. And of course, if you want to find out more about AEL or upcoming events, live streams, please check out AU Esports League on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and of course, you can find them on AEL Uni and AEL Uni 2 at Twitch. Apart from that, guys, that's everything here from me, Mendrix, and of course, Formal, and we hope to see you guys next week with some more tanking action.
Hey, I'm Where's Danielle. I'm a cosplayer, streamer, AV tech, and a massive Destiny fan. I'm going to check out how Destiny 2 runs on the Nitro 5. Look at this. Look, bring the camera in. Look at this. This is running Destiny at highest. It's still hitting 60 frames per second. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I don't believe it. I cannot fathom that this thing has that much grunt in such a tiny form factor. And there's so much going on the screen at the same time, like particle effects and stuff. And I can barely hear the fans too. If I had headphones on while I was gaming, you wouldn't even hear it. I like this thing. Can I take this? Will you guys mind if I take this? Like actually, hold on. Is this plugged in? This way, smooth, get away. It's fine.
I live my life on the run. I say I'm not giving up. I may be living alone, but I still believe in love. In a similar way, I feel I'm losing my conscience. Traveling for days without my knowledge of provenance. Through all